Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So today is the 11th of July, 2021 from the Bhakti Center, New York over the internet. And we're going to be meditating on Ratha Yatra. And particularly, we're going to be looking at Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 13. And at a certain point in the class, we're going to focus on text 137 through 138. So Srila Prabhupada said that this Ratha Yatra is a feeling festival. So what is this feeling of Ratha Yatra? It is a question of meeting and separation. Lord Jagannath is in the mood of separation from Vrindavan and Srimati Radharani. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the same as Jagannath, is in the mood of Radharani being separated from Krishna and Vrindavan. And then in the verses that we'll meditate on at the end of this class, we find that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about making his heart into Vrindavan. So this topic of meeting and separation is a little difficult. I know myself, I'm always thinking, when can I be with Krishna? When can I see Krishna? I'm not thinking, when can I be separated from Krishna? I feel like I'm already separated from Krishna, and I don't like it very much. Why would the Lord as Jagannath and the Lord as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu want to have this separation? Now, we can look a little bit at the perverted aspect of this meeting and separation, and then we're going to look at Jagannath and separation, Mahaprabhu and separation, and how we can enter into this mood. So in this world, there's a perversion of this meeting and separation. It is called Bhoga Tyag. So in order to enjoy anything in this world, one has to also become separated from it for some time. Just like when we are very tired, we very much enjoy sleeping. But nobody wants to just stay in bed all day. Right? Sometimes parents punish their children like that. Oh, go to bed. After our tiredness is mitigated, then staying in bed is terrible. That's what you do when you're sick. I remember as a child, I was sick with chickenpox. I had a very mild case, and my mother told me I had to stay in bed. And as soon as she walked out of the room, I would jump out of the bed and play, because staying in the bed was a punishment, right? Or anything like that. After you have satiated your hunger, then eating is painful. You have to get away from eating. Or, I often give the example that if you have a favorite food, like if pizza is your favorite food, and if you have pizza for breakfast and pizza for lunch and pizza for dinner and pizza for breakfast and pizza for lunch and pizza for breakfast and pizza for lunch and pizza for dinner, after a while, you don't want to eat pizza anymore. And if you keep eating pizza, it actually becomes repulsive. So we have this Bhoga Tyaga. Prabhupada talks about in Nectar Devotion how a person works all week and then he takes the weekend off. And after taking the weekend off, he wants to go back to work. I mean, people have this problem in retirement. Then they want to go back to work. So we have some perversion of this. Of course, in this world, neither the Bhoga nor the Tyaga is satisfying. When we are enjoying the things of this world, we're never completely satisfied. And when we renounce the things of this world, we're never completely satisfied. We don't have some all-expansive satisfaction either in our enjoyment or in our renunciation. But this principle that if we want to have pleasure, we both engage with something and separate from it is something that exists in a perverted form, even in this world. So it is nicely explained by our acharyas that when you're with Krishna, you see one Krishna, but when you're separated from Krishna, you see Krishna everywhere. Therefore, it is a more intense type of ecstasy. Of course, the devotees don't want to stay perpetually in separation. When they're in separation, they want union. So it's not that someone stays perpetually. We don't have to worry. that when we become perfect in Vrindavan, we'll always be separated from Krishna. That's not a very appealing prayojana. So Jagannath is in this mood of being separated from Krishna. Now we know that each incarnation, Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amenas Titandan, Avatar Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kritu, that Krishna has all these various expansions and incarnations. Now Krishna himself is the sum total, right? Krishna Samabhavat Paramapumanyo. That Krishna is the avatari, he is the source of all of these various incarnations. Krishna is true Bhagavan Swayam. So all the various moods and feelings and potencies are existing in Krishna. But he also likes to take forms eternally that really exemplify different moods, just like Rupa Goswami explains how there are various incarnations of Krishna that especially correspond to each of the 12 rasas, just like Ramchandra is Karuna rasa, right? And the rasa of compassion and of grief and of lamentation. Parasuram is the rasa of anger, right? Nrsingadev is in the rasa of vatsalya, parental rasa toward Prahlad. Yes. So each of these incarnations are particularly relishing a particular rasa and have particular opulences. So in the form of Jagannath, what the Lord is especially relishing is this mood of separation from Vrindavana. Right? We often think about how the devotees feel separation from Krishna, but Krishna also feels separation from his devotees. We know when Krishna is in Dwarka, this is explained nicely in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopal Champu, other places. When Krishna is in Dwarka, he's with his queens, but at night he's calling out the names of his gopis. Of course, ordinary woman would not be very happy with such a situation if her husband is at night is calling out the name of his girlfriend. But we find the queens in Dwarka actually respect the gopis of Vrindavan, just like in the Mukta Charita of Raghunath Das Goswami. So Satyabhama is asking Krishna, please tell me the story of when you grew pearls in Vrindavana. And this story involves a lot of flirtatious teasing between Krishna and the gopis, but yet his queen Satyabhama is relishing this very much. So the residents of Dwarka, there's not envy, there's not malicious envy like there is in this world. In this world, there's this feeling, I mean, all the great devotees have a feeling of mamata, of possession of Krishna. Everyone, that Krishna is mine, Krishna is my possession. Srila Prabhupada says that the way we get free from wanting to have possessions in this world is that instead we feel that we possess Krishna. But this is not an exclusive feeling of possession. And just like Krishnadas Kaviraj explains that the gopis enjoy hundreds of times more when they see Krishna enjoying with another gopi. So the gopis are pushing Krishna to Radharani. Radharani is pushing Krishna to the other gopis. Radharani enjoys 10 million times more when Krishna is with another gopi. So it's a little difficult for us to comprehend. There's not some kind of malicious envy. But the point is that when the Lord is in Dwarka, he's feeling this separation from Vrindavana, right? Even it's nicely explained in Lalita Madhava how there's a Nava Vrinda Devi, and she creates a Nava Vrindavan in Dwarka. That, of course, in Jagannath Puri is the Gundicha temple, where Jagannath goes in his Ratha Yatra. And Krishna in Dwarka, he's wandering around this Nava Vrindavan, and he's remembering Vrindavan. Of course, in Lalita Madhava there, he's also meeting the gopis who have expanded themselves as his queens. And we find in Brihad Bhagavatamrita in Vaikuntha. So when Gopakumar comes to Vaikuntha, the residents of Vaikuntha ask him, you please accept a form like ours with 4 hands, and you please accept Vaikuntha dress. And Gopakumar says, no, I'm going to stay in my Gopavesh. And when Gopakumar is coming, he has a flute. And when Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana sees Gopakumar, he takes this flute from Gopakumar's hand, and he's just holding this flute, and he's in this ecstasy of Vrindavana. And when Gopakumar sees the Lord, he sees the Lord as Krishna. and he sees the associates, the Yadu associates, as cowherd boys. Of course, he sees Rohini as Rohini because she's in both places, and he sees Devaki and Vasudeva as if they were Nanda and Yasoda. So he's getting this vision of the Lord in Vrindavan because the Lord is absorbed in thoughts of Vrindavan. The Lord is absorbed in thoughts of Vrindavan. I mean, we experience this to some extent in this world also, that if I'm separated from someone, I may think of them more than if they're with me. And the thinking of them in separation may be particularly delightful, to be absorbed like that, right? I mean, many of us now with this COVID are feeling like this about the Dhams in India. Yes, we're feeling like I didn't get to go to Vrindavan. Now it's been a year and a half since I've been in Vrindavan and Mayapur. And we're feeling like this. When am I going to go? 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 You know, I've gotten these photographs of Govardhan and had them blown up into these huge tapestries on my wall, so I can imagine that I'm sitting at Govardhan Hill, right? But when we're actually there, there may not be that full absorption. Right? So Jagannath is enjoying this, and he's enjoying meditating on the residence of Vrindavan. And now he particularly in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 13, this meditation of Jagannath on Vrindavan is in verses 148 through 160. Now, it's interesting that Jagannath's meditation on Vrindavan comes after Jagannath's feeling of separation from Vrindavan, comes after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his feeling of separation from Vrindavan, invokes those feelings in Jagannath. So there's this reciprocation between the two of them. Just like it's explained earlier in the chapter, that sometimes Jagannath is so astonished by the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he stops his cart. Just excuse me 1 second, I have to answer a question about breakfast or I won't get any. Okay, sorry. This class goes through the breakfast time at my local temple. So it's fascinating how there's this invoking of this mood of separation between the Lord in two different manifestations. And, you know, we have, of course, Krishna and Balaram, who are often reciprocating with each other. You know, I suppose we do that to some extent. Like I sometimes talk to myself if there's nobody else around. Maybe all of you do that. You know, I'll have like a conversation with myself. Or in my mind, I have a conversation with myself. So here, Jagannath and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were having this conversation with himself. So, but Jagannath is in the mood of Krishna. And in this mood of separation from Vrindavan, the Lord changes his form. Now we know that the Lord has an eternal form. In fact, we ourselves as the soul are changeless. It's not like this body that, you know, goes through childhood. It's not like that for the Lord or even for the soul, actually. But still, according to his mood, the Lord appears in different forms, which can mean the Lord's form is unlimited. It can also mean that the Lord has unlimited forms. And how astonishing the form of the Lord is when he is in separation from Vrindavan. His limbs withdraw, right? His eyes get very big and his limbs withdraw. So you can't even see his lotus feet. You can't see his lotus hands. You just see part of his arms. I mean, externally, there is this pastime where King Indradyumna became impatient with the carver and opened the door too soon. But that's all external situations for the Lord who wanted to appear in this form. Of course, this form reminds us very much of the Lord's incarnation as Kurma, and of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also assumes a Kurma-like form, where his limbs get retracted into his body in ecstasy. And this form of Kurma, it's very interesting with this form of Kurma. He's mentioned at the very end of the Bhagavatam, at the last chapter of the 12th canto. And Kurma is identified as the Lord of Rasa, swimming as he is always in the ocean of milk. And we know that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati worshipped a deity of Kurma. So it's sort of this mood of Jagannath also, of this, when we withdraw into ourselves, if we think about this, when is it that we feel like withdrawing into ourselves? Because we say like that, right? I'm going to withdraw into myself. We want to kind of close ourselves from the world and just, right? When we are in some kind of very, very deep emotion, usually some emotion of anxiety and grief, when we want to close ourselves off. But we should understand that all of these emotions for the Lord and for the pure devotees are varieties of ecstasy. If I'm separated from someone I love, and there's different kinds of separation that Rupa Goswami explains. There's a separation due to geographical distance, which is very funny since Krishna is everywhere. How can you be geographically separated from Krishna? How can Krishna be geographically separated from Vrindavan or from his devotees? In Tattva, that's an absurdity. Still in Rasa, there's a geographical separation. Then there's also a separation due to mana, due to anger, right? And there's Krishna, I don't want to see you anymore. I'm angry with you. And then there's an imagined separation, even in meeting, where a person, the devotee or Krishna is in so much anxiety about a possible separation that they feel that they're already separated. So there's these different kinds of separation. But all of them are varieties of ecstasy. And I give the example all the time of different flavors of ice cream. So, my father always liked pistachio ice cream. Somebody might like maple walnut ice cream. Or if you go to Dubai, you've got to go to Govinda's restaurant where they have they have even chiku ice cream and sitapal ice cream. So these are all different varieties of taste. They're all ice cream. So these different rasas, it's actually an unlimited combination. We look at there's the 12 sthai bhavs, and then there's the vibhavs and the anubhavs and the sattvika bhavs, the vyavichari bhavs. And these combine in unlimited ways to have an unlimited variety of tastes. Sanatana Goswami says in a commentary in Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13, about the Lord, when the Lord shows that all of his expansions of the cowherd boys and the calves are actually himself, and then he's being worshipped by all living entities. And Sanatana Goswami comments that the Lord has unlimited qualities and there's unlimited jivas, and each jiva is particularly attracted to a particular quality. Rupa Goswami and Ujjvala Nilamani delineates 350 categories approximately of gopis, and then he says, but actually each gopi has her particular flavor. So there's unlimited flavors of enjoyment. And so we shouldn't think that because the Lord has withdrawn his transcendental limbs into himself in this intensity of longing for Vrindavan, that this is some sort of suffering. When I withdraw, it's usually because I'm suffering. But for the Lord, it's not like that. For the Lord, it's so he can relish this ecstasy. And this ecstasy of separation, in many respects, is a very private ecstasy, which is also why one would withdraw, isn't it? When we're experiencing some feelings that are very private, that we don't want to share with anybody. So we go into some kind of a withdrawal, isn't it? That we go into our room, we close the door, we go into ourselves, or we close our eyes, we go into some kind of meditative state. So Jagannath is the Lord in this intensely, of course his eyes are very wide open, in this intensely meditative state of separation from Vrindavan. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in a very similar state, but from the point of view of the Ashraya instead of the Vishaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is again Krishna. So in this Ratha Yatra, again, Krishna is talking to himself in two different forms, but he's in the mood of Krishna being separated from Krishna and separated from Vrindavan, whereas Jagannath is in the mood of Krishna separated from his devotees, separated from Vrindavan. And the verses that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in this regard are in Madhya 13, 101 to 147. And I would really recommend, if you want to go deeply, that you take the time to read these verses. Madhya 13 from 101 to 160, 101 to 147 is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and 148 to 160 is Jagannath. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is starting off by just, actually he starts off with a verse from a mundane song, which is very interesting. So he repeats a verse from a mundane love song that he's applying to his situation. Just like sometimes if we're out and about in some shop, we might hear some ordinary song and immediately it reminds us of Krishna, right? We're hearing something, you know, I was once in a shop and they're singing, "My world is empty without you, babe," which was a song I knew when I was a teenager. And I thought, oh, there we go. Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govindavirahe. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in this mood and he starts off with a regular song and then he, Swarup Damodar is again augmenting his mood. Swarup Damodar is Lalita. And he's talking to Jagannath and he says, don't you ever think about Govardhan Hill? Don't you ever think about Nandan Yasoda? Don't you ever think about the cowherd boyfriends? Don't you ever think about the Yamuna? Don't you ever think about your gopis and Srimati Radharani? Don't you ever think about me? Don't you ever think about me? Can you remember all of us? Now, this is not like in this world, I want someone to come home so I can enjoy them. We see others as objects for our enjoyment. But it's not like this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking that Krishna is only happy in Vrindavan. Krishna can only be happy in Vrindavan. How can he be happy in Dwarka, in Mathura, in Hastinapur? He has to be so formal and stiff and reverential there. He has to come home to enjoy. So Jagannath is in separation from Vrindavan, thinking, how can the devotees live without me? How can I please my devotees? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking, how can I please Krishna? If he doesn't come back to Vrindavan, how will he be happy? He's there because he has so many responsibilities. And indeed, Jagannath responds like this, where he says, I have some more demons to kill. I have to kill the demons, otherwise they'll disturb you in Vrindavan. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this mood of a resident of Vrindavan, this mood of a devotee, is saying, you have so many responsibilities burdening you. Come and enjoy. Come play your flute. Come and dance. Come and have picnics. Come and play holy. Come and splash in the water and throw the bell fruits to your cowherd boyfriends. And come and enjoy. Come and enjoy. If you can imagine, you know, some wife sees her husband working very hard and she comes to him and says, come, let's take a vacation. Let's go to the beach. Let's go have a picnic. Get away from your work. Right? So this is the mood that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing. And he's also saying, I'm going to die without you. All the residents of Vrindavan are going to die without you. And so this is the mood happening between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath. So I want to go now to 2 verses in the chapter that can explain something about our own mood and how we can enter into this mood. So we're going to look at text 137 and 138. So we'll read Prabhupada's, they're short, Prabhupada's translation and purport. Prabhupada's translation, speaking in the mood of Srimati Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, for most people, the mind and heart are one. But because my mind is never separated from Vrindavana, I consider my mind and Vrindavana to be one. My mind is already Vrindavana. And since you like Vrindavana, will you please place your lotus feet there? I would deem that your full mercy. Prabhupada's purport. The mind's activities are thinking, feeling, and willing, by which the mind accepts materially favorable things and rejects the unfavorable. This is the consciousness of people in general. But when one's mind does not accept and reject, but simply becomes fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna, then one's mind becomes as good as Vrindavana. Wherever Krishna is, there also are Srimati Radharani, the gopis, the cowherd boys. and all the other inhabitants of Vrindavana. Thus, as soon as one fixes Krishna in his mind becomes identical with Vrindavana. In other words, when one's mind is completely free from all material desires and is engaged only in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one always lives in Vrindavana and nowhere else. In the next verse, my dear Lord, kindly hear my true submission. My home is Vrindavana, and I wish your association there. But if I do not get it, then it will be very difficult for me to keep my life. Purport. Only when the mind is free from designations can one desire the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The mind must have some occupation. If a person is to be free of material things, his mind cannot be vacant. There must be subject matters for thinking, feeling, and willing. Unless one's mind is filled with thoughts of Krishna, feelings for Krishna, and a desire to serve Krishna, the mind will be filled with material activities. Those who have given up all material activities and have ceased thinking of them should always retain the ambition to think of Krishna. Without Krishna, one cannot live. Thus, as a person cannot live without some enjoyment for the mind. So this is a very interesting instruction from Srila Prabhupada. And this is an instruction that's repeated over and over and over again. It's an instruction that's repeated over and over and over again throughout the Bhagavad Gita, throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. That the key is the mind. To get the mind free from accepting and rejecting, right? We saw that in the previous verse. Free from accepting and rejecting, to become free from designations, and to take the thinking, feeling, and willing of the mind and turn that to Krishna. Thinking, feeling, and willing. And here we have again, thinking, feeling, and willing. Thoughts of Krishna, feelings for Krishna, and a desire to serve Krishna. So in this conditioned life, naturally thoughts come of accepting and rejecting things in the world. Feelings come into the body. Feelings of anger, feelings of lust, feelings of greed, feelings of joy, feelings of lethargy, all different sorts of feelings enter the body as a result of various stimulations by the senses. And then in order to justify these feelings, the mind has various thoughts about those feelings. That's how it works. So our senses perceive something, our body has biochemicals that respond with feelings, and then our mind responds with thoughts. Should I accept this feeling? Should I reject this feeling? And the mind goes into all these different thoughts about these feelings. And all of these are in terms of our designation. So how I designate myself in this world, like I'll say I'm an old American woman, and if someone says, I'm a young French man, or I'm a dog, or whatever our particular designation dictates how our body responds with these feelings and these thoughts. And then on the basis of that, we act, right? We either act to express our thoughts and feelings, or we act to repress them, generally speaking. So this is this thinking and this accepting and rejecting. As we said in the beginning of this class, it's a bodha tyaga, which is the perversion of meeting and separation. So what do we do? Part of the discipline of bhakti, part of this sadhana of bhakti, in fact, we could say one of the most essential sadhanas of bhakti, is to detach us, the soul, from the thoughts and feelings of the mind in relationship to these designations. So this particular method is also used by the impersonalists and the voidists, and it's something that's become very commonly taught in the world today as a way for peace and happiness, that one just watches. Oh, There's feelings of anger entering my body. There's feelings of fear entering my body. There's feelings of grief. There's feelings of lust. There's feelings of lethargy. There's feelings of excitement. There's feelings of, and just watch, look at that. There's the biochemicals going through my body. Something like one would observe the weather changing. Oh, there's a breeze coming. Oh, the sun's coming out. The sun's going behind a cloud. Or that way one might observe if you're walking on a busy city street in New York City. There's so many people walking by you on the street, and you don't stop to get involved with all of them, or you would never get to your destination. You may notice there's a skinny person, there's a fat person, there's an old person, there's a young person, there's a tall person, there's a short person, there's a dark person, there's a light person, and so forth. You may notice it, but you don't even notice all the different people and animals that go by you. And certainly there's no attachment. So one becomes like that with the different feelings that go through the body and the different thoughts that go through the mind of accepting and rejecting. This is a good feeling. This is a bad feeling. This is a good feeling. This is a bad feeling. And that's how it works. It may appear to us that first we have thoughts and from the thoughts come feelings, but that's not actually how it works physiologically. Physiologically, there are feelings and then there are thoughts that support that feeling. That's actually how it works. And this is all just a matter of biochemistry, which is, it's a machine, the Yantarudani Maya, it's just a machine that's designed expertly by Krishna, by Lord Brahma, for its self-preservation and reproduction. And that's really all that's going on. So for the impersonalists and the voidists, they stop there. They stop at this detachment from the accepting and rejecting of the mind. They stop at this detachment from the feelings, the thoughts, and the will to act that is going through the mind according to the designation. But in bhakti, we have a much more wonderful process, because although there's definitely happiness and peace just from this detachment, and Krishna says at the end of detachment comes peace. Tvajagyante kalevaram, shanti, tvajagyanta kalevaram. That peace comes at the end of detachment. So the impersonalists and the voidists, they do end up feeling a sense of peace. It's not that they don't, but we're much more interested in this variety of emotions. We're much more interested in it. We all want that. We all want to taste a variety of emotions. Variety is the spice of life. Because you can see Krishna is such a variety person. Look at that one tree. I'm looking at my window at a tree. Each tree has a different leaf. Each branch is different from every other branch in the same tree. And Krishna loves variety. So we want to taste this variety. So what we do, this is a very simple spiritual technique, which Srila Prabhupada is explaining here in this purport. Thoughts of Krishna, feelings for Krishna, a desire to serve Krishna. So we become detached from the biophysical, right? The physical, the mind, psychophysical, Prabhupada would call it, the mind and the body. These things are not going to go away as long as we have a body. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 22 to 25. As long as we have a body, then the body is sometimes going to have these different reactions, biochemical reactions. To external stimuli. That's just what's going to happen. That's how the machine is designed. But instead, we turn everything to Krishna. Now, a very easy way to do this, and whenever I explain this, I say this very easy way only works if you know something of Shastra. If you don't know something of Shastra, it's not possible to use this spiritual technique. But the spiritual technique is that you find something similar in Krishna or Krishna Lila to what the body and mind are currently thinking, feeling, and willing. Because as Krishna explained at the beginning of the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this world is like an upside down banyan tree. So whatever thoughts, feelings, and desires we have in our psychophysical nature has its reality. And there's my breakfast. Thank you very much. Wow. Oh my goodness, you brought me breakfast and lunch.
Breakfast and lunch.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So whatever we may be absorbed in this world has its parallel in reality. Just like we started out talking in the beginning of this class, that this meeting and separation has its parallel in our Bhoga Tyaga in this world. So let's say I get feelings of fear that come through me. Somebody says something nasty and I become afraid. Oh, they won't love me anymore. And this and that will happen, right? This happens to everybody. Or I get some feelings of anger. Oh, this person has insulted me, or I paid for this and I didn't get it and I'm being cheated, or whatever. And we think of what is there in Krishna's Leela that is similar to this. Just like I was speaking to some devotees some months ago, they were accused of some things unjustly, and they were told, you can't come to the temple anymore. And it was this whole thing, and they had to, have this whole intervention with ISKCON Resolve. So they were in so much distress that we've been unjustly accused and we've been exiled, and so much emotion, so much disturbing thoughts, impelling them to do so many actions. So I said, what is there in the Leela that is similar to this? Is there anyone else who's unjustly accused and unjustly exiled? And they said, well, the Pandavas. And I said, is there some member of the Pandavas you'd like to meditate on? So a couple. So the husband said, yes, Nakula. I said, so how would Nakula feel? What was he feeling when he was out in the forest for so many years? How was he feeling towards Yudhisthira? How was he feeling towards Dhritarashtra? What were the feelings that he was having? How was he feeling about Draupadi? He had another wife also that was left back at the palace. How did he feel about her? How did he feel about his children that weren't with him in exile? What were the feelings that he was having? And as this devotee got more and more into these feelings of Nakula, he started to experience various kinds of spiritual happiness, spiritual bliss. And all of the material things were forgotten. So these festivals like Ratha Yatra, these pastimes in the scriptures, are meant for us to enter into with our thoughts, feelings, and desires, as Srila Prabhupada says here. They're not meant as an intellectual exercise. They're not meant just so we can know the scriptures, so we can pass some sort of exam. What did Lord Chaitanya say at the Ratha Yatra? What did Jagannath respond with? Who slapped who with the right? That's not the purpose. The purpose is so we can transform our thoughts, feelings, and desires into those of the spiritual world. And then, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, our heart and mind become Vrindavan. And then, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is inducing Jagannath to go to Vrindavan, the Vrindavan that he will go to will be within our very hearts. So I know we stop here at 8 o'clock. You have Didi greeting now. So thank you very much for this opportunity to speak about Ratha Yatra.
Hi, Krishna. If others have comments or you want to add something after the comments, you can feel free to do so, because I'm in India. I'm not really tuning in for the darshan from here.
Oh, I see. That's so your background is a real background.
So if you would like to continue for some more time, you can, or you can take comments or reflections.
Showing the darshan at the Bhakti Center? Are you going to be putting that on the Zoom or?
I don't see anyone particularly has joined from there who could show us the darshan. If anybody is there, I'll surely show.
Okay. All right. Well, we could go maybe another 10 minutes. We're having a little Ratha Yatra here today in North Carolina. So, and I have a lot on the schedule, but maybe like 10 minutes if someone has a question.
Yes, sure.
So, Andrea?
Hi, Krishna. Urmila Devi Dasi. Thank you so much again for your classes. I always have a sore hand by the end because I'm frantically trying to write the notes, but at the same time I want to be relishing it while it's happening. But the what you left us with at the end, is just so motivates me, because I just started reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita yesterday. And so now I have like a little plan to be able to read like a little bit of the Gita every day, to have something with the Srimad Bhagavatam, and to have something with the CC. And I was just doing it because, you know, everybody keeps suggesting that I do it. Like everybody is saying like, oh, this is good for you. But nobody had connected it in such a practical, concrete way as you just did right now. And then this morning when you said that, I was like, oh, I'm not just reading these because everybody's telling me that I should read these. I'm reading this so that I have this beautiful Leela and this information so that I can connect it to my everyday life, so that I can come closer to Radha and Krishna. And I'm just like literally mind blown.
Wow, you just summarized the whole point of the class in like 30 seconds. That was fantastic.
Like you blew my mind. I was just like, wow, you know, like now I feel even more motivated to do it. You know, as to before, I was doing it more in like I'm a good student mode, you know, like
that's a designation.
Exactly. That was like, I'm doing it because I'm a good student. Like that's what good students do. I'm supposed to do it. And now it's like, no, I'm doing this because of this. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Thank you very much for saying that. That's a great gift you just gave me. Thank you. Thank you. Saradi Arasa?
Hare Krishna, Amala Prabhu. Thank you. I also really appreciated this class.
Can you turn on your video? Is that possible?
I can try. I've got very poor signal, but I can try.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me see if I can walk around a bit. Okay, let's see. Is my video coming?
No, we're still just seeing a black square with your name on it.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep on trying. So one question that I had is that there is this relationship.
First of all, are you my old friend from Belgium, from South Africa?
No, I'm the other devotee from South Africa.
Yeah.
Liz.
Okay, it's like without seeing you, it's like trying to figure out from the voice, which Saradi Arasa are you? Okay, go on.
So there is this relationship psychologist called Esther Perel, and she, I mean, just to put it in context, she's very pro-marriage, and a lot of her research has gone into what helps couples to stay married over the long term. And one thing that she has identified is she says that people feel the most love and attraction for their partners when they are not with them, but when they see their partner, you know, doing something in their element. So I was wondering, does that in somehow, you know, indicate that is actually, you know, like, is that indicative of a quality even of our soul, you know, and therefore we also might be actually hankering for having that separation from Krishna so that we can, you know, desire Krishna more strongly. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope you
Yes,
can.
it does make sense, because everything that's part of our soul, that's part of who we are, is evident in something in this world. There's some manifestation in this world that points back to the reality. And that's why you can use everything in this world to bring yourself to the reality. Is that all right? I think you've disappeared. Does somebody else have another question or comment? That was lovely. Anybody else?
And thank you so much for this association on this most auspicious day. And it's we are still awaiting Ratha Yatra, so it's a good meditation for us to go back to Chaitanya Charitamrita and read, and then able to connect it tomorrow when it actually happens also. So thank you so much, Mother Urmila, for this wonderful class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.